Hey guys, welcome back to Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. We are on part 21, and I am, of course, as always, with my mod, Katie.
Hello.
And we are headed into our final day of court. So, I don't remember what we discussed last time and what we didn't during, like, what was paused. So those that have watched the VODs back heard everything, but those of you watching on YouTube are gonna have no clue, maybe? Possibly? I don't know. But court is divided into three sections.
Parts.
Yeah, 3 sections. So we're gonna do section 1 of it today and then finish it on my next recording day because that is Friday and that is a long day. So, yeah, so it doesn't matter how long this goes on for, i.e. how short this is. This is just, we're just doing it. So, and then afterwards I'm gonna have to force myself to take a break even though I don't want to, which we were just discussing before I started the recording. But I'm gonna have to play something else in between each entry. That's like the hardest thing, is finding something else to play, because I don't want to play anything else.
You got to.
I know. I already know what I'm gonna play next. We're good. So, let's keep going. The final day of trial. We finally have an idea of who done it. Now it's just dragging it out of him. Oh yeah, and, you know, we left Emma alone with him.
Because we're a responsible adult who can take care of children.
I mean, she's 15. She's a teenager, so.
Yeah. 15/16.
Yeah. Well, and plus she knew him from the past with Lana, so
Yeah.
I'm sure she's uneasy, but I mean, I don't think she's in any real danger.
Yeah. I mean, though it was kind of weird that he suddenly forgot everyone's name.
I think he did that on purpose, just to fuck with everybody. Because it's Gant.
That's the point.
He did it on
That was the
purpose
point.
just to fuck with everybody.
Yep.
Because it's Gant. Because he doesn't care.
This is the defendant lobby, all right. But there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma, for that matter? It's almost as if something has been happening behind the scenes.
Oh god. Oh, no, that was me!
Nope. Yeah.
I had no idea that was me.
I assumed it was Lana as well, so.
Okay, so something's been happening behind the scenes. Did you just hear your defendant?
I did, it was really weird, but Edgeworth.
Hello, that is very bizarre.
Look, a lot of bizarre things happen.
That is very true, especially around you. Knowing you, you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the 7777777 ID number is, that is.
Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out.
You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. If that number does belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything.
True. Not yet.
Please don't tell me you're going to do what I think you're going to do.
Of course I am!
I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that, and in any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes, Wright, and Chief Prosecutor Skye will be found guilty.
No. But she didn't do it!
I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say.
This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever find the truth is to draw it out of her.
The truth?
Everything goes back to the SL9 incident.
Don't be stupid. Today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past.
You weren't saying that last month.
2 months ago.
2 months ago. And that's just, it depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened.
I'll think about it. See you in court, Wright?
Okay, see you later, Edgeworth. This is it.
He's just like, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. Damn it! He's gone.
If I'm ever going to find out what Chief Gant has on her, it's now.
Court is now in session for the trial of Ms. Lana Skye.
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make.
Chief Gant. Materializes. Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, Udgy. Been back to the pool yet?
No, I've been drowning enough as it is at my work. It's only been 2 days.
I know, but that's plenty enough time.
There's been a lot going on, and you know that.
Unfortunately, I do.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good one. I don't think I could top that.
If you don't mind me asking, Chief, what exactly is this proposal of yours? Oh, good.
Lana, that is to say, the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble.
What's this all about, defendant?
I'd like to make one simple request, and I'll be finished.
Well then, what's your request?
Your Honor, I'd like to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. No, Lana!
Objection!
You can't. Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But Lana! Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven that its case through the testimony and circumstantial evidence.
And your confession. Because holy shit.
I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please.
Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. Her request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears that there's no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise.
This can't be happening.
It appears that the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant...
Objection!
One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth? The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature.
Now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you. But why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut,
I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant.
What?
Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes.
Some kind of deal, Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy.
I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. Oh? To whom? As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Ms. Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony.
Mr. Edgeworth, I'm exercising my right to self representation. I don't think we need to continue.
I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Very well, this court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant?
Worthy. You'll live to regret this. Mark my words.
Ms. Emma Skye, please take the stand.
Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins.
Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. My name is Emma. Emma Skye. My occupation? I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct? Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Mr. Edgeworth, please remember, this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. Well, okay then. My goodness.
He sure gave him fast.
Did you see the look he gave me?
Yeah. Yeah, he does that all the time.
Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago.
The trip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial.
We're gonna see if I burn my tongue. Oh, yes.
Take a shot.
Take a shot. Oh, ow. Ow, jeez, ouch. Ouchie, ouch. Ah.
Good job.
My throat needed it. My everything else didn't. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. It's a good thing you weren't harmed. I passed out. I don't remember much. That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? That will soon become apparent, Your Honor.
You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence.
Pot meet kettle, right?
Hi, Pot.
I'm Kettle.
I'm Kettle. Nice to meet you.
Like, Nick, you are a fine fucking one to talk, my dude. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. Mr. bluffs a lot, to the point where the judge starts calling him out on shit. Where the judge is like, I think you're bluffing, but you know what? You have one fucking chance to prove it.
Nick's just like, hey, watch me pull it out of my ass.
Yeah. Nick's like, luck don't fail me now. What was it? I saw a tweet that was like, in Ace Attorney, it's like, someone will testify about like a stabbing, and you'll have like the knife, the like the luminol bloodstains, and the hot pocket, and the correct answer is the fucking hot pocket.
Yeah.
Like,
you have to prove he was eating the hot pocket while, like, before all this happened. Duh.
that influences time of death or some shit.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell by the contents of his stomach
Yeah.
that he was eating the hot pocket.
And that meant that he was killed by the true killer. And that he wasn't the killer, and neither is your client. So, shout out to that tweet.
Hold it!
2 years ago, the defendant was a detective in the police department, correct?
Yes, she was second in command under then Deputy Chief of Police Gant. My sister, she was the best detective ever. Yes, I remember. Deputy Chief Gant and Miss Skye used to be quite the pair. I believe they shared the same office. That's right. I'd always sit at my sister's desk and dream about playing that organ. I wanted to play it that day too. The police department and the prosecutor's office held a ceremony that day. Lana promised to take me to dinner after she finished her work.
Hold it!
Man?
Yes, Joe Dark. He was a serial killer. Joe Dark was brought in for questioning on the day of that ceremony. We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an arrest. When he saw his chance, he fled the room, right? Upon fleeing the room, Dark proceeded to take the elevator. He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. Then he ran into Skye and Gant's office. There was a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened up the door to have a look. That's when I saw him.
Hold it!
What was the prosecutor doing there?
That day, there were two people present during Dark's questioning. Deputy Chief Damon Gant and Prosecutor Neil Marshall.
Almost forgot about Gant.
Neil Marshall had just received the King of Prosecutors Award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony. I assumed that would also be why he was the first to run after Dark. When Dark grabbed me, I thought I was as good as dead.
And that's when Prosecutor Marshall came running in?
I don't clearly remember what happened then, but
Hold it!
Can you tell us about that?
Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark. Just then, the lights went out. The lights? It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on and lightning struck nearby.
So the electricity went out.
Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right? Right, but just then lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind. I see. I told the detective about what I saw then.
The detective.
Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case.
Detective Bruce Goodman, the victim. Yeah, let's hear more.
I was gonna say what you want to do, Nick.
So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago?
Yes, that's what's so scary about this trial. And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw. Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture.
Picture? Yeah, I think she mentioned that before.
Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough?
I want to hear about the picture. This picture the witness drew. I believe it has a very important meaning.
Objection!
But this list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture. Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony? Yes, Your Honor. I drew a picture of that scene once, but it seems to have been lost.
Hold it!
You drew a picture of the scene you witnessed, right?
Yes, I wanted to do everything I could to help the investigation. I can still see it now, whenever I close my eyes. That's strange. I took over the case after Prosecutor Marshall died, yet I never received any picture. Perhaps the witness is mistaken. But I did draw it, I swear. I'm not just imagining it.
This picture that Emma drew. It reminds me. Guess I should check the evidence again.
Well, anyway, let's continue. This scene that imprinted an image in your mind. Can you please describe it to us? The man...
Hold it!
It must have been a real shock.
Even now, when I close my eyes, I can still see it just as clearly. Tell us, what were you doing at that moment? I believe you testified that Joe Dark was holding you hostage. When lightning struck and the lights went out, Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark. I was thrown aside and the two began wrestling each other. I'm pretty sure I was watching them.
Emma doesn't have any reason to lie. But Lana sure does. I need to get Emma to tell me as much about this as she can.
Okay, so was that it? Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. One back.
I hit back, but okay. Waiting in my sister's office. Yep. Man came running and took me hostage. Yep. Nail marks so rushed me. We got that.
But it wasn't lost.
Yeah, I was just saying for press.
Oh yeah, we've pressed everything.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get across. Yeah, no, I know what to present it. It's
Okay.
the picture. It's the evidence list that has the picture on the back. This one.
That one.
We're gonna double check it, but I'm pretty sure this is it. Yep, alright.
Objection!
Mr. Edgeworth. This little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet, you insist in denying its existence?
Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. What the fuck? Nick, calm your tits, dude. All I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture.
That may well be. But that means it doesn't exist. Behold.
This is the evidence list for the SL9 incident?
Please turn it over, Your Honor.
Turn it over. Turn it... Ah! What's this? Yes, what is that? Hey, that's it. That's the picture I drew. Indeed. Two men appear to be wrestling here. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list?
Me?
Only the prosecutor in charge would have access to that list. Huh? These lists, they're different from each other. What? It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here where they were torn apart from each other.
So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half the evidence list that was in that case ever reached you.
What? What? Order! Order! But, Miss Sky, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list? Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor.
Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honor!
Are you all right, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head.
If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list.
Yes, that's quite conceivable. Mr. Edgeworth. It's possible. Let's see.
You seriously never turned the paper over?
I love that. I love that Edgeworth moment so much.
He's just like mouth clenched shut, screaming internally.
It's just capital M's, like he found something really fucking tasty.
Yeah,
like he ate like steel samurai flakes or something. Something sugary and terrible for him, but it's the steel samurai, so he finds it delicious.
Jesus Christ.
Or like he had a really tasty tea or something. It's just really aggressive.
Aggressively,
Yeah. This is one of those images in Ace Attorney that just burns itself into your head. You know those? This is one of those for me. Oh boy. Is something wrong? Did you eat something good?
It sounded very angry, Your Honor. Do you even have to ask?
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, you forget he shakes with anger there.
Forget
He legit is.
He just causes an earthquake of his own that makes himself pass out. Jesus Christ, Miles, calm down. It's okay, sweetheart. Sorry, Your Honor. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. It's that thing. Yeah, I would make that noise too if that was on the back of my fucking list.
Oh, hey, the music's back.
Oh, goodness gracious, why? That's that thing. That thing that was dancing in the evidence room. Clearly, this act of vandalism is the work of a certain chief of detectives.
I guess he was out of scrap paper.
Evidence list restored and updated in the court record. Okay, let's check that court record. Okay, we can't even flip it anymore, we just get the image.
Mm-hmm.
I hate this fucking drawing. the badger one. Well, not because it's the blue badger, because I know exactly what it is.
Yep. And that part is a son of a bitch.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Oh my god. It has never not been a son of a bitch. Like, from the DS through the HD remake, it's been a son of a bitch.
I somehow nailed it my very first time. I've never been able to nail it on the first time ever again.
I was gonna say, if you did it the first time every time, I was going to be furious with you. And that's like
No, that was sheer beginner's luck on my part.
that's like you nailing a fucking Zanmato without paying Yojimbo on a fucking Dark Aeon, which the official guide for Final Fantasy X literally states is a 1 in a million chance. I hate you.
I love that story.
I think we told it during my 10 playthrough.
We
so
did.
If you want to hear it, go way back to April of 2020 in my Final Fantasy X playthrough and watch that, because holy shit, I get so salty. I'm still salty. Everyone else she's told it to gets salty, so I feel justified.
All the flavors, and you chose salt.
Yes, and so does everybody else. Yum, yum, yum. Very well. Witness. Will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago? Huh? Yes, sir, Your Honor.
What's wrong with Emma? She seems to be thinking about something when she's looking at that picture.
Her little thinking sprite is so cute. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind.
Thanks to that thought, she was able to show us exactly what she saw. Thanks to that, though.
Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Hold it!
Did you draw this picture right after the incident?
I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. At first, I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything. During that time, the investigation team was reorganized. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the direction of Damon Gant and Lana Skye.
2 or 3 days later. The memory should still have been fresh in her mind.
Excuse me, witness. But can you please tell us why this picture is painted all black?
Hold it!
So at the time, you didn't know it was Mr. Marshall who had come to your rescue?
No, I couldn't see him clearly. The lightning was so bright, and I was knocked to the floor.
You were knocked to the floor.
Dark had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around, and that's when the lightning flashed.
Poor Emma. I'm just glad she wasn't hurt.
What happened after the lightning flashed?
Hold it!
You mean you didn't see the actual murder take place?
No, I'm sorry.
Objection!
The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, but the trauma of the situation understandably caused the witness to faint. Do you really need to torture this girl any further?
What? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here.
Tit for tat. Anyway, this picture...
Hold it!
Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw?
Of course, this is the exact scene.
It wasn't influenced in any way from your talk with the detectives?
Objection!
Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright?
No, of course not. No, I'm just, I'd better watch out or he might find some way to cut my salary.
I drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives, so I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me. Mr. Wright, is there something that's bothering you about this picture?
Huh? Oh, well... That's strange. She claims this is exactly the scene that was imprinted in her mind. And yet... there's clearly a contradiction here.
So this is the statement we present on.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's like the actual shape of the weapon.
Nope.
Yeah. I know like what it's actually supposed to show.
Mm-hmm. But I mean... Neil wasn't stabbed from the front, was he?
Oh,
Let's check his autopsy report.
Yeah,
So.
stabbed in the back. Yeah, he was stabbed in the back. That's right.
Objection!
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction.
What? But I still remember just like it was yesterday. Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report?
Now you're on the right track with the knife.
with the kniff.
With the knife.
With the kniff.
Take that!
Take it.
The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see that its tip is broken.
Aha! That's what I thought. I was like, the tip broke off in Neil's back. And then my brain just skipped over in his back. Dur, 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 dur. To be fair, this case is a son of a bitch.
Oh, absolutely.
Even I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright. But, Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too. If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body. It was the conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer.
I'm afraid it's not that simple, Emma.
Objection!
And where, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem?
It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not have been broken.
Ah! What's the meaning of this? Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand.
Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it were broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there.
And that's right, but what does this mean? Mr. Edgeworth! The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is that the witness's memory is mistaken.
That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believed you were annoyed at the time. But she was sure she remembered correctly.
Don't get passive-aggressive with me.
Be passive-aggressive if I want.
Don't be a bitch, right?
Excuse you.
Damn!
Nick can be a bitch, though.
Oh my god, yes, he can be.
Little bitch. I love him so much, but little bitch. To be fair, so is Miles. They're both little bitches. But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency.
Objection!
Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There's another explanation. Have you forgotten already? About a little something called falsified evidence.
Nick! You're treading on thin ice, Wright.
All I'm saying is that this broken knife tip might have been a piece of the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny that possibility.
No. Ah! Order! 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 Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted?
Your Honor. Please allow me once again to go over the events that took place the day of the murder. The police department and prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant.
They put a period where there should have been a comma. I just noticed that. I was like, ah!
During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in this story there is a lie.
I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife. If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife. What are the chances of there being two broken knives?
Another broken knife besides Joe Dark's? Could there have been one?
Oh, there's another one.
If the witness is as adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained away by simple observational error.
Mr. Wright.
In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife.
I assume, then, that you have some information about this other broken knife. If so, feel free to enlighten us.
The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. The real murder weapon.
There's that fucking picture. There it is.
Take that!
The answer lies in the past. 2 years in the past. Right inside this picture.
This is a picture of the awards ceremony. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? Did you step on a tack? It's the broken murder weapon.
Notice the award Prosecutor Marshall is holding.
That's a broken knife.
As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood from this award.
Order! Order! Order!
Neil Marshall was awarded the King of Prosecutors that day.
As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. Then he chased after Joe Dark. He pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in a dangerous situation.
But that can't be.
Oh? And why not, Mr. Edgeworth?
Because if the King of Prosecutors' award knife was the murder weapon, then the murderer and the victim would be reversed.
What do you mean?
I mean, this man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall.
Oh. Oh, God. I didn't even think of that.
But the prosecutor was the one who actually died.
That's true. What's going on here?
It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions. Wait, I remember now. I remember everything. Witness? Mr. Edgeworth! What is it? Could you show me your evidence list again, please? His list? The one with that picture scribbled on the back? I knew it. This picture, I'm the one who drew it. What?
You drew that.
That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture.
Oh, the music's back.
All this time I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside me. Yeah, me too when it comes to the blue badger, Emma. Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness's testimony. Would you please tell us what you've recalled, Miss Skye? And Mr. Wright, what are you talking about the music being back?
I don't know.
Are you undergoing some kind of psychotic break?
I think this might have to do with the bargain I made with you.
The blue badger does consume. I'll have to tell him to leave you alone for now.
Thank you, Judge.
The fact that we just implied the judge was in charge of the blue badger is like the most terrifying thing I think we ever could have come up with. Yes, Your Honor.
Just the knife mix-up? Now the blue badger? This should be interesting.
Considering the blue badger wasn't made yet. It was made recently. If I'm remembering that correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was not made 2 years ago. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. This is certainly most unusual.
Objection!
Try impossible. The chief of detectives hadn't even designed him until this year, or last year.
That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago.
Yes, well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Stop, please! Don't pursue this any farther. Lana.
What's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair.
But you can't do this. I've already confessed to my crime. Why can't you just leave it at that?
Chief Prosecutor Skye. We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back. Silence! The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant.
It seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter. When you say that man, I assume you're referring to Joe Dark?
Yes, at least I think it was him.
You think?
All I could really see were shadows. The power outage that immediately preceded the incident is also documented in the prosecutor's office reports. So then you...
Why would you do something so dangerous?
What else could I have done? He was about to stab Mr. Marshall.
Sheik seems convinced that Dark was the one holding the knife.
But as we just theorized, Mr. Marshall was the one holding the knife. Well, I didn't know that at the time. When that dark guy knocked me down, all I could think was, I've got to help that other person.
What do you mean, you think?
It all happened so fast, and I was in shock. I don't remember everything clearly. What I did, it's all kind of a blur. Miss Sky was almost killed before she was witness to a murder about to take place. With so much happening in a matter of seconds, a little disorientation is only natural. I saw the man about to stab the other person, who I thought was Mr. Marshall. I knew I had to stop the man with the knife. What you did was very brave, young girl. So, then, what happened next?
Are you sure about this?
Of course. See? I even drew a picture of him here. But it was the chief of detectives who thought of this hideous beast. And that was just this year. The Blue Badger didn't exist 2 years ago. This is all quite verifiable. I know it sounds strange. I was surprised too when I saw him at the police department. I had this nagging feeling that I'd seen him before somewhere. Now I finally remember.
Oh, brother. Just when you thought that thing had caused enough commotion.
Tell us, where in the room did you see him dancing?
His shadow. So, you mean you didn't actually see his face with its winning smile and all?
Nick, I just nearly choked on my tea. Fee Nicholas Wright.
I'm just so plainly saying winning smile.
Oh, Nick, please. That's right, but I still remember it. He had 3 creepy horns. This is pointless. That thing couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken.
That may well be. But what's important is what caused her to think she saw what she did.
Oh, and I suppose you have an explanation. If so, by all means, please tell us what this shadow really was.
What was it Emma saw when that lightning flashed? Who is this blue badger? Is this blue badger really? I might just know. The blue badger hadn't even been dreamt up when Emma drew this picture. Yet, she's certain she saw his shadow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defense's belief that on the fateful day 2 years ago, there was indeed something that looked similar to the blue badger. Something that is sitting in this very room.
Mr. Wright. In this room? Very well, Mr. Wright. What is it that the witness saw in that incident? Please show us this mysterious blue badger look-alike. Oh, this pain in my ass. This unstable jar piece of shit. I meant to present it. Take it. Just take it.
The mysterious blue badger was in fact this.
But that's... what exactly is that?
I believe it's some sort of jar.
But, Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the blue badger.
Indeed, it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change its viewpoint?
Our viewpoint?
Gotta show them the correct angle to look at this thing.
So it's not directly like this, because
No.
obviously you've got to have it like right here-ish.
Ish, somewhere around there.
I'll start from here and I'll start tweaking.
I think that's wrong, though.
I know it's gonna be wrong, but I don't think I'm gonna be penalized for it. I think you get as many tries.
You get all the tries in the world.
Yeah, so woo, I can look through the bottom. Alright, so it's around here, and this damn thing has like rotated a little bit. So what are the fucking keys here? Oh my god, no, that is not what I wanted.
Try and use the
controller?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh my god.
might be able to. Yeah, there you go. It'll be easier.
Yeah, that's what I want, is to rotate left and right. And the sound of hell. I heard that snicker. Oh my god. Just... I'm trying!
Right.
Allow me to remind the defense, its case hinges on the witness's drawing. If Mr. Wright can't match the shape the witness drew, we cannot accept his claim.
I've got to find just the right angle.
But Tish.
Maybe I should rotate it vertically a bit more. Or horizontally?
Come on, Mr. Wright, you can do it.
I'm gonna show them the correct angle to look at this from.
Oh, and it starts you right the fuck over. I hate.
No.
I'm filled with. Oh, it's because
You-
it's the bottom. It still juts out a little bit.
Yeah, but, I mean, you want me to give you one hint that I know for sure? There you go.
Yeah, I was like, wait a fucking sec. That definitely looks like more like a badger head.
Yeah, I think we need to just angle it to the right a little bit more. No, I mean, turn, like...
Rotate it? Like,
Get the two nubs lined up with the line.
oh, like that.
Yes. Angled down a bit more.
Looks like a very ashamed badger. Alright.
Somewhere along that. I do know that for sure.
You know what God damn it! You know what makes this maddening? It's the fucking Blue Badger music the entire time. It's just mocking you.
Objection!
Yes, Miles, I know, you're very unhappy about this. You are not the only one.
Fuck. I can't believe I got this right on my first try.
I can't either because I hate you.
Look, I haven't been able to do it again since. That was completely beginner's luck.
No, that is... I've just lost my mind completely, and there we go.
I wish I could take control of the controller for you.
No! Oh my god, what have I done? I've done the wrong thing. There we go! I don't know why my brain just had a very hard time. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Up
back
more.
Up. Okay.
Okay, down just a tad. Now try and line the two bits up perfectly.
Yeah. That's easier said than done.
I know.
There. There. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. I swear to God. Nick?
This isn't it. I'm gonna cry.
Oh!
Yes.
I could kiss you full on the mouth. Oh my god.
Well, is this a miracle or what?
It is a miracle because I was convinced we were going to spend another hour on this.
No one can possibly deny that this jar resembles the blue badger.
Miles is definitely gonna try. Yeah, no, it can't be. Order, order! The defense has proven its claim. The mysterious blue badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this.
Objection!
Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. Just imagine Nick with the fucking jar, like, slowly...
Presenting it.
slowly turning it, like, and then, like, holding it over his face, like, don't I look like the badger? What's your point?
What do you mean?
So that badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything.
I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything.
Indeed. Very well, then. Please tell us. What's different now that we know that the witness saw this jar?
Any of them. Any of them will get you. Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar.
At a very specific angle, might I add, Mr. Wright.
Yes, well, knowing this, where could she have seen this jar?
Where?
The location of the jar is shown in the picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on the office of Damon Gant.
Sorry, you cut out. Line. Line!
It's on a shelf in the office of Damon Gant.
Thank you, sorry. But the body was found lying near Lotta Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself.
Yes, and it's these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place on Lana Sky's take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room in Chief Gant's office.
Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Damon Gant's office to Lana Sky's office?
Yes.
Why would he do that? There's no reason.
Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is there was a reason.
Do you know what that reason was, Mr. Wright?
I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding the knife. In that instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now, tell me, what could have sent that jar flying?
That would have to have been the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit?
The suit of armor, holding a very sharp and dangerous looking sword.
Yes. And since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying the broken knife, he would have been Neil Marshall wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy.
No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking.
Yes. There is another possibility to what actually transpired in that room.
Another possibility?
Of course, the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nevertheless... I don't know if I can go through with this.
Mr. Wright, what's the matter? If events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Skye knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall, You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No! I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So it was the witness who took the victim's life, and then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented.
What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Skye, but given the circumstances... Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her?
Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it?
I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegation, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence to prove that my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't.
Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence. If we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony.
I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. We certainly can't get dead people to testify.
I mean,
At least
yeah.
not without Maya.
I was gonna say you could, but you don't have a spirit medium.
Oh, I'm sad.
Oh, it's okay, Nick. Pat, pat.
This has all been a wild goose chase since the beginning.
Oh, buddy, you haven't even gotten on the wild ride yet. Buckle up. Touché, Miss Skye. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility.
Hmm? You mean there's still another possibility?
What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life, in one manner or another.
That's impossible.
Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased. Does such a message exist? Flow my line there.
Gotta think back to the court record. The real murderer's name that the victim left behind was...
It's in the evidence.
Hell. This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright! Will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer?
Do not be mistaken, Miss Sky.
Mhm.
Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There is only one thing we seek. The truth. No matter how painful it may be. Now then, Mr. Wright. Please show us the piece of evidence that conveys a message from the deceased. Let's go get that fucking jar again.
This time dealing with it's easier at least.
I know, but let's haul this giant-ass clumsy jar out. Gant, what were you thinking picking that out? Sir? Sir. I hate this fucking
What do you
jar.
want from him?
I want an explanation.
Do you think he would give you one?
He might. Like, hey, what's up with this vase? Why did you pick it?
He probably got it while he was on vacation somewhere, let's be real.
Yeah, probably. But, like, it's, like, so... They're right. It has no, like... It has no foundation to it. He gently bumps into it, and that thing falls. Like, and he's 6 foot.
Yeah, he is.
And built like a brick shithouse.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
Jesus Christ.
He is definitely, as another streamers have put it, a big orange power man.
Big orange power man.
This is the message left by the deceased.
This is that blue badger from before, right?
Oh, is he just going to speak the killer's name?
If that thing could, I'm sure it would.
Don't test it. Looks like everyone's forgotten that this is just a jar.
Like that frantic, don't test it. Me too, Nick, me too.
A message was left here, on the surface of this jar.
What do you mean?
If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar.
It looks like someone wiped the blood away.
Yes, but notice. For some reason, the blood on some of the fragments were not wiped away.
Yes, there is a line here, drawn in blood. So what you're saying is that these dots were once lines.
Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used a few precious moments left to him to leave his message behind.
One that someone apparently wiped away. But blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions.
Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points, and the victim's message will appear, or become apparent.
No.
Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us?
Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal to us the answer. I've gotta connect these dots to make letters.
Why wouldn't you just spray it with luminol? God damn it, you have a bottle on you. Look. 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 Right there. Right there. Alright. Alright, Nick. He just wants to go on hard mode.
Are you bitching about the gameplay mechanics, Danny?
No, I know, like, I know it's like, you have to do it, and as Nick's finding out, but it's like, Nick, buddy old pal, you have a bottle of luminol in your pocket. Emma gave that to you.
There's only one thing the victim would have written, given the circumstances. His murderer's name.
Now, if there's any mechanic I'm going to bitch about, it's rotating that fucking jar.
At least it only took us 3 times.
Oh my god. Okay. Ooh. Whoa, this is weird with the mouse. Okay. Ooh. Come on. Come on. Come along for the ride. Okay, we don't need to go from there. Nope. Click. This is so weird. Where's my stylus? Where's my 3DS stylus? Where's my DS stylus?
Watching you suffer amuses me.
Shut up. Where's my DS stylus? You have to admit this was way easier on the DS.
I mean, I didn't have a problem on the PS4 with it.
I didn't remember having a problem either, actually, with the PS4. But like, I don't know, it feels so weird with the mouse.
Take that!
Probably because the control's a little clunky.
It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client innocent. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my effort, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma.
So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. Poor Lana. Of all people, she may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life.
Was Emma Skye.
Seaworthy. Can't say I didn't warn you.
Chief Gant.
Do you understand the implications of what you've done?
What? What are you talking about?
2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction.
Objection!
But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer. That is undeniable.
I'm afraid that's not important.
Nick jumping the fuck in, like, don't you say bad shit about my boyfriend. GG, Nick. Gant's telling you he doesn't give a shit.
Didn't you know? We aren't defenders of justice.
What?
We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter. Even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery. Ultimately, the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied.
What's going on at the prosecutor's office? They might have sent an innocent man to his death. How can he just stand there like it wasn't his fault? Order! 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 Order!
The gavel pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows.
To be continued. There's our first save.
Woo!
And that's where we're gonna call it, with Emma as a murderer. Yay!
Yay!
Oh. That part never feels good.
No, it doesn't.
Never feels good. Gaslighting 101 with Damon Gant.
Yeah. I love him.
You see why he was on my shit list for so many years.
I know why he was. I know. never defend him for what he fucking said or did.
To Miles.
But
Pouty, pout, pout. But you have capital F feelings that you will very much elaborate on when this case is over.
yes, I will definitely expound upon those.
Yes, and again, when I for other viewers' sakes, when I tend to like make up my mind about a character, I am open to new interpretation, and I am open to new ideas, but it is hard to actually sway my original opinion. I'll go, yeah, that could work. And like, or like, oh, I see why you appreciate that character. Like, who's a character that you like that I just don't? Not even an Ace Attorney, but just like in general.
Oh, there's gotta be some of them.
Well, like, I don't know, like, even like Dio.
Yeah.
That's
Fucking
like,
love that bastard.
yeah, like, okay. Sorry for anyone that doesn't watch JoJo's or knows that I'm on like a JoJo kick for the rest of my life. But like, the point being, the main antagonist throughout the first 6 series, pretty much the overarching antagonist in general, Dio.
Yeah.
Because everything is either due to him or the consequences of his actions, is a character you either hate, like your friend, who just
Yes.
cannot stand him.
I know, it's hilarious.
She hates him, and it is very funny. Or it's one that I'm not crazy about him, but I don't hate him even, but I'm just like, I see why you like him. He's a very solid villain. But like at the same time, you make no illusions. You're like, oh, he's a fucking piece and a half. He's a bastard. He's a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of an example, because I do appreciate him as a villain,
Yeah.
and I like Part 1 Dio. I don't.
Yeah.
So I would say Part 3 Dio,
Yes.
where he's just completely batshit, and I'm not going to get into the intricacies of JoJo's, but like he is completely different. He's pretty much a completely different character from Part 1 because he's gone completely insane. And normally I love that in characters, like watching their descent into insanity, just like you do, because that's like kind of like your trademark.
Yes.
You're like, I love crazy characters.
Like, did this character go insane? Yes. Check. I love them.
Yeah. Sephiroth, check. The Shining, check. So like, but like I liked Part 1 Dio better. I thought he was a lot more relatable. I thought he was just a better villain, even though pretty much I'm the unpopular opinion on that. Everyone's like, no, Part 3 Dio, after he's completely lost his fucking mind. And I was like, I don't know. He's definitely more imposing, but I like Part 1 more because I find him more relatable to the main character in Part 1 and his circumstances, because like he was just he's not so distantly removed from them, and they definitely made who he became. But like at the same time, in Part 3 was made to be a jumping off point, but if you don't know Part 1, he really doesn't have as much of an impact. That's the interesting thing. Like, he has an impact, but knowing his backstory makes him a far more interesting character, and that's why I like Part 1 Dio better, because he's the foundation upon which Part 3 is built on. Because, like, you can know facts A, B, and C about Dio. There is the wee-woos outside of my house. They're coming to find you.
Can't catch me.
Never.
Bitch.
But, like, in my opinion, if you don't really know Part 1, which a lot of people skip, it doesn't make him as impactful as a character. You don't understand why he is the way he is. You're just like, oh, he's just a crazy dude, whatever. And I'm like, no, there's so much meat and potatoes behind the crazy vampire. That's just my opinion, though. You love Part 3 Dio.
I do. Oh, man, I do.
You like Part 3 Dio better than Part 1 Dio.
I mean, I just fucking love Dio.
Yes, but if you have to pick, you prefer Part 3.
Yes, but that is
Because he's gone batshit.
Oh god, he has gone completely off his rocker.
But, like, my analysis isn't incorrect, right?
No. I mean, you can still get to know the character. I mean, they do give you enough information on him in Part 3 without requiring Phantom Blood, but it's still... If you don't read Phantom Blood, or somehow absorb that information, then you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. But that's
Yeah.
just me from preaching from on high.
I'm preaching that from on high because you're skipping the best part, which is battle tendency. Sorry. We're not going to turn this into a fucking podcast about JoJo's, though. But, like, so, like, when I'm set on a character, the point being, when I'm set on a character, like, it would be very hard to change my mind to make me, like, be like, yes, part 1 or part 3 Dio is better to me than part 1 Dio. Like, and Katie hasn't, like, actively tried because she's just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's how you feel. But, like, and Katie didn't try to actively change my mind about Gant either, but she had points. She was like, well, can I just talk to you about why I like him, though? And I'm like, all right, fine. You know, I'm like, all right, fucking hit me with it. Because the only defenses I've seen for him are pretty weak. And a lot of people think like Angel thought he has just been corrupt the whole time. And that's why a lot of people really like him.
And there's more things that I have noticed that I will point out to you once we get to the end of everything.
Okay.
Or I'll explain it to you off stream if you would like to hear it beforehand.
I'll want to hear it beforehand, but
Okay.
yeah, I definitely want you to expound on that post case, like when we're talking about it actively. But yeah, so you actually changed my stance on Gant, and he is actually a character that I have feelings about as well, just not to the same extent that you do. But I very much enjoy him when before he was on my shit list, and I still don't approve of what he does here, but I very much do like him better, and I appreciate him far more. And God, there was a time when this dude was the be all end all. Like, now with 6 games out, technically 10 really,
Yeah.
including the 2 duologies, you've got a plethora of big bads. Both of Miles's duologies have 2 big bads in each game. So, like, in one game, there's 2 big bads, which is, besides this one, unprecedented. So, it's, like, it's crazy. So it's just, like, in, like, the trilogy era, and even after Apollo Justice was first released, and even after the first Investigations was just released, Gant was still kind of considered the be-all, end-all. Like, people were still like, this guy is the most intimidating one. And that's, I don't know, I don't see as much about it as I used to. Which I think is sad.
Oh, it's still there.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm not really active in fandom because you know my feelings on fandom. I've talked about bad experiences with fandom. If you want that, I did a fucking verbal essay at the end of Mass Effect 3. So go listen to that. Yeah, you know, I tend to stray away from fandom, but I haven't seen that with Ace Attorney. I haven't really seen, like, I've seen, like, villain appreciation, but again, the villain appreciation I see the most is someone from another game who I think just doesn't have that staying power. That's the one I see the most appreciation for, still.
Yeah.
Is the one I think has no staying power. So, that's really interesting, because once upon a time, Damon Gant was the be-all, end-all. And we're not spoiling anything at this point, because Nick's figured it out, so... Nick's figured it out, and he's told Miles as much, so... There's no big spoiler here. We know it's Gant, now it's just
proving it's Gant.
Just proving it's Gant. We know it's Gant, it's just proving it's Gant. I mean, at least Gant didn't taser you.
Yeah. Or punch you.
I hate Manfred.
Damon Gant is a villain who does not lay a hand on you.
So are most. Manfred, I think, was the only exception of the big bads. Running through them very quickly in my head. 2's doesn't. 3's does not. 3's tries, but does not. 4's doesn't. 5s doesn't.
Leaves other wounds on you.
Yeah. Emotional ones that make you cray. But we're not talking about that, because 4s leaves a ton of emotional wounds on me. 5s doesn't. 6s doesn't.
Yeah.
The 2 of Ryunosuke's duology don't. And then in Miles's in Investigations, one of them almost does.
Yeah.
And then one of them tries again. And then in Investigations 2, no. One of them doesn't lay hands on you. One of them does lay hands on someone,
Yeah.
but not you. So Monfort is really the only one to, like, take a taser to the main character, to, like, actively assault the main character.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy ass.
But yeah.
Oh, man. But yeah, so next time is Damon Gant's Wild Ride. And we're just going to have a big old blasty blast with it. I mean that seriously. Rise from the Ashes is a fantastic case. And we're going to talk about its staying power and its repercussions and blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. And we will see you next time. So this has been Danny.
And Katie.
And again, we will see you next time. Take it easy.